You know, this board here is bothering me. This whole table is just falling apart. It was hanging down too low on the table. You know, it's so humid here in Mississippi that this table, which hasn't been treated, the wood hasn't been treated, it's just falling apart. And it's amazing that I'm even sitting on it, really, because the whole thing should just be thrown away. See how easily I just lifted that board right off the top of it? It was because it was hanging down. One of the other things broke on it. So here's what I'm talking about. And I almost said basically, which if you're playing the drinking game, that would equal a drink. So basically, every time I say basically, you take a drink. Got it? Okay, that's 3 shots. I don't know who came up with that. You know, I'm sorry I forget your name, but it was just something that stuck in my head, and that he was making some drinking game. Every time I said basically, that's 4. So maybe in this video, you're really gonna get snockered. How many drinks can a person have before they basically pass out? I mean, really? Okay, so this video is about something that I mentioned in a previous video where we were talking about hacking and exploiting of games. And basically, now I'm going to overuse it in this video. I mentioned about how PayPal was pressured into not allowing the sales of currencies or intangible goods that violated the terms of service within games. Now, many years ago, there was, in fact, I don't know, it was, I think, before I started doing videos, that I back then, it was prior to March 2010 when I made the conversion from, allowing stuff that was exploitive or that violated the terms of service of games happening on my sites, and then I was also, supporting the sales of like used World of Warcraft accounts and items and stuff like that when it violated the terms of service. These days, I don't do that. I do a lot of account sales. I do a lot of currency sales and stuff like that. They're all publisher sanctioned. None of it violates the terms of service of any game, of any of these that I touch these days. So basically, the PayPal was pressured, which PayPal is an eBay company, and PayPal was pressured that they were possibly going to stop accepting payments on intangible goods. Now, there's 2 parts to this, and one is that they were pressured from various companies to stop taking any sales for these goods, just like eBay had done. And nobody believed me when I announced on my blog at the time that eBay was about to stop selling intangible goods for video games. And I called it. I called it months ahead of time. People were calling me out, saying I was a liar. They were saying that I was, fake, don't believe me, and everything. But I happened to have a friend who was one of the founding employees. He was one of the very first employees. He was like under employee number 20. And so he'd been there a very long time, and he knew his shit there. And so basically, you should take another drink. He knew about upcoming stuff, upcoming changes well ahead of time, and he knew that this one change was really going to affect me. And so he called me, and he worked at PayPal, but this was an eBay change that was going to happen. And basically what was happening was that they were going to drop all intangible goods sales except for Second Life and Project Entropia. I think that was the second one. There was 2 games. Second Life was the big one. They announced that, it was glorious that they were going to support all the Second Life stuff there and everything. And I think Project Entropia was the other one. But there was a second one, and I'm not 100% sure on that. And so they were going to stop that. And I was a power seller. And I was selling, I think, around, I was selling somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 worth of UO items a month through eBay. And I was at one of their top ranks. If you go look up my eBay account, it's Markee Dragon, you'll see all this feedback. I have this stellar rating, and you'll see that I haven't really done very much since that time. Because I wasn't able to sell things, and so all the other feedback now is just from me buying a few things from time to time. And so I knew this was coming. Everybody cried foul, saying that I was full of shit and everything, and I stuck to it. And you know what I did? I turned right around and I built our first big store system to handle intangible goods. I was already selling game codes at that time, but it really needed a reworking to be able to handle all of these different types of goods. And a whole system to make sure that the item was delivered, to have accountability so that our staff would actually go in and deliver it and then would check it off in the system. And then once it was checked off, it would send an email to the customer, and the customer would then be able to respond if they didn't get it okay and everything. And or something, time warps happen and stuff. You guys don't see time warps like we saw in UO. Oh my God. Sometimes we'd have 5 time warps in a day when the game was first starting. But so we had all of those things in there, and that was kind of a moment for me, and I'm getting off track here, but that was a moment for me of really calling it ahead of time. And my buddy who was at PayPal at the time, he's no longer there. He's now actually retired, and he's probably retired rich. Being that early of an employee and having stock options and everything, I would say that he's probably done okay for himself. So after that happened, several years after that happened, it was probably 3 or 4 years after that happened, that that loud bug is a cicada. He's up in the tree up here. He's very, very loud, up to 121 decibels. So if you had him sitting on your shoulder, 120 decibels is loud enough to cause ear damage. One of these days, I'm going to take the camera and we're going to go out into the jungle out there and maybe catch one. I understand that can be eaten and that they're huge bugs. People fry them up. Not that I'm going to eat one. So, back on track. The PayPal was pressured by several game companies, and at the same time they were doing a whole internal review as to why they might quit selling intangible goods. Now for eBay, it was both deals. It was maybe there was some outside influence, but a lot of it had to do with the problems with all the fraud. And so people would start up eBay accounts, and then they would sell to a whole bunch of people, and then they would recall all the accounts, and then people would run away with the money, and eBay was there left going, they sold all this stuff and everything, and it didn't work out too well for eBay. And so it was because of the fraud that they, made the final decision. Now, several years later, PayPal was petitioned by a few game companies to do the same thing and not allow the sales. But PayPal wanted to be blind in the product that was being sold. Of course, they can't sell something that's illegal or something that's criminal. But it's not illegal to sell your account to somebody else or to sell a virtual sword to somebody else. It violates the terms of service of the game, but it is not an illegal act. You can't go to jail for it unless you're sued civilly and then you violate a court order to stop. Then you could be facing criminal charges because you're violating a court order. And they didn't want to be in that position. I mean, if you knew how much money was going through PayPal at the time it was around $8 billion annually of intangible good stuff for video games that was going through PayPal. That is a shitload of money. I mean, really, basically. I know that just didn't fit, but I figured you guys need another drink. What is that, 7 now? Basically 8? like I said, you're going to just be totally snockered if you're playing this game by the end of this video. I joke around that maybe I should, every time I accidentally say it, maybe I should have, when I'm live broadcasting, I should have some shots lined up in front of me, and every time I accidentally say basically, that I should take another shot, and then the whole thing happens to ends whenever, I don't know, I fall out of my chair, or I just can't think anymore. But, I'm not a drinker, and I got to be a role model. And I can't endorse kids drinking. So, and about 30% of my viewers are kids under the age of 18 or under. So, anyway, PayPal decided that they were not going to block any of those sales, and they've just instead added a whole bunch more anti-fraud. Now, I can say, though, that money bookers had the same question come up to them. And money bookers is in many ways like the PayPal in Europe. They're pretty big over there. And while PayPal is very big over there, money bookers is primarily a European company, transaction company. And I got the shock of my life. Well, not of my life, but I got shocked quite a bit because I helped pioneer virtual sales on money bookers. I met with both of the presidents. They had co-presidents. I met with both of the presidents about it. And, I think that, we were one of their trial cases of how to sell intangible goods in these markets successfully. And we did that not with stuff that violated terms of service, but we did that with game codes at my previous company. And so at this new company that I have, Markee Dragon Game Codes, insert advertisement here. If you need game codes, go there to get them. There's a link in the description. We only support a few games, though, so maybe we won't have your game. I don't know. So I went to get money bookers as one of the payment methods for our store. And it was a deal where I just didn't think much about it because I pioneered this stuff. And I set the standards in a lot of this area and everything. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. Well, maybe I am, but I truly believe that I was one of the first people in this industry doing this, and I was one of the first people. I was schooling PayPal on how to deal with a lot of these things back when it was first happening. And to this day, they don't take people on. If you're a virtual reseller of intangible goods, they may hit you with a 50% rolling reserve that could be anywhere from 90 to 180 days. And because of all the things that I have in place and everything, I have a 0 rolling reserve. And that is because our fraud rate is, let me see here, I'm doing the numbers in my head right now. And in actual losses, we haven't actually lost anything yet. But I do have $400 worth of, well, you know what? Shit. Now I said a number. I don't want to edit this video out. I don't want to tell you how low it is because I don't want you guys to know my sales volumes. And but I will say that it is below 0.25% in our dispute rate. We haven't lost any money yet, so it's not a fraud rate yet, but our dispute rate is less than 1/4%. And in my previous company, we stayed under 0.5%. And, and PayPal, though, will start squawking when it goes above 1%. And they'll start squawking pretty big time. And if it goes way up, you end up with these huge holds in your account, and you can't make any money that way. So, but back to the subject is they're very wary of it, and they ended up putting in all this other stuff in place instead of blocking those transactions. And I think that was really a good move on their part. I actually wondered what was going to happen if PayPal stopped accepting payments on intangible goods. Now I know that they blocked an intangible good, which is the prepaid calling cards. There was a lot of fraud in those as well. And we never got into that market. But basically, I think that's number 10. And I'm not going to say it again, guys, because 10 shots, I'm sure you are totally snockered now. And in 15 minutes or however long I've been talking on this, maybe 20 minutes, it's unhealthy to drink that much. You get alcohol poisoning. So now I'm being very careful not to say basically. Shit. Really? I was being really careful too, and I just accidentally let it slip out. Okay, so they chose to go the other route, and I'm really glad they did. And I was really worried about what to do if they stopped that, because I knew that these transactions could happen still, but I didn't know how it was going to happen after that. Are you going to have everybody send Western Unions? Are you going to have everybody send checks or do bank transfers or stuff like that? Even with bank transfers, you can have fraud. You would think that you couldn't have fraud in Western Union. I had a Western Union reversed once. And you would think that Western Union is guaranteed. They say it's guaranteed and everything. Well, we had one reversed that the next time we came in to pick up one, they said, I'm sorry, but this money, they're not giving it to you. They're taking it because they took a loss on this other one. What? Excuse me? So, I didn't say the full word. So they really screwed us on that, because we were doing honorable business and accepting that through that payment method, paying the high fees. The customer pays, in some cases 10% or so to send via Western Union, and we didn't have to pay those fees, but we always had to go out and get them and stuff like that. And so it was it was a pain in the butt. It wasn't a moneymaker doing Western Union, I can tell you that. So, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that history on PayPal and on eBay, why they made the changes and everything. So do subscribe. I know I have an ending trailer here that is going to encourage you to subscribe anyway, but if you like this content, do subscribe. And check out my homepage on YouTube for the other channels that we have. We have some gameplay channels now and some other stuff so that you may enjoy. Anyway, I'm Markee Dragon. Take care. Thanks for watching today. If you made it this far in the video, you may as well subscribe. That's what I want you to do. You obviously liked it well enough to watch it this far. So look at this. This is Frostmourne. This is a Runes of Magic sword. This Runes of Magic sword is one that we're giving away as second prize to one of you subscribers, just for being subscribed. That's all you have to do. Subscribe and accept our messages, or watch our videos where we draw for prizes. So this one is it's a really nice sword. It's signed by some of the American staff for Runes of Magic. And then there's the big boy here. I got it on my shoulder because it's so darn heavy. This sucker is 16 pounds. Look at this. So it's a two-handed sword here, man. This is a beautiful sword. And we're giving this away when we hit 42,500 subscribers. It could be you. So, just subscribe. That's all you have to do. We'll do videos selecting the winners, and we'll send you a message in YouTube as long as you accept it. Just make sure you accept messages from us. To do that, put us on your contact list. And you just add Markee Dragon to your contact list, and then you'll be able to get messages from us, and you'll have 30 days to get back to us when we send you a message. Or if we can't message you, you'll just be on video, and you just gotta watch the video and then contact us. So anyway, if you made it this far, you really should subscribe, and I would appreciate it. So anyway, that's all.